Welcome everyone to the audiobook launch for Healing Beyond the Diagnosis. I'm going to take you through the journey of this version of the book, the audiobook version coming to life. Because when I invite you into my spaces, whether it be free or paid, I really want you to be drawn here by a feeling and I want you to have an experience because ultimately this is what life is about. It is about having an experience. You're going to hear the deeper insights about this book, Healing Beyond the Diagnosis, and the transformation that I see is available. Because I really feel that this is more than just a book to consume. It is still teaching me so much right until the moments of just coming onto this call. And it is teaching me so many lessons. It's said that we remember events and experiences because of the emotions associated with it. A seed was planted to write a book this time last year. And the reason I really remember this is not just because I decided to write a book, it's also because I decided to breed my first foals, baby horses. And I had one on the ground and one yet to come. And I had a session with a channel. And at the very end of the session, I said, should I write a book? And she just gave me a very solid yes. And there is a theme woven throughout this book to follow a desire with a decision. And then when you make that decision, the right support shows up. So that can be in the form of your health practitioners, friends, professionals, no matter what area of life it is, not just health, every area of life. So for me, I made this decision and I knew it was the right one because within a few days, not even knowing how this book was going to start or how it was going to come to life, the support showed up. My neighbor came over and told me she was a book coach. I knew my neighbor, but I didn't know she was a book coach. And then my cleaner helped me with the layout of the book to get started. And this all transpired within the course of a week. I have had so many patterns land that I've become very aware of just in this last month of creating the audiobook. So it was the exact same time that all of this happened last year that I started recording the audiobook. So this is just over a month ago. Overall, this whole journey of healing beyond the diagnosis felt impossible. I had so many challenges pop up that thankfully very quickly turned to opportunities in early 2025. This has been an incredible journey, creating all of the versions of healing beyond the diagnosis. So there aren't different editions. I haven't edited the content, but I created different versions, which I'm about to share with you. And the pattern that all of these shared with one another is that I scheduled the launch party before the product was even ready. And I was just trusting and hoping at the 11th hour it would come to fruition. And that's exactly what's happened for all of them. So the first version that I ever released was this one. And you won't see it very much in time to come. This was the Luxe Limited Edition of Healing Beyond the Diagnosis. And I released it on the 1st of May. So it just looks and feels a little bit different. And this version really changed quite a bit for me in my business and how I saw I could offer things. I saw that people were drawn to offerings and experiences of a feeling, trust, and energy. And this version of the book was really a feminine creative project for me. It didn't need to exist, but I had a lot of fun with it. And so many people bought it without knowing the details, which I absolutely love. And so I only sold 222 copies and they are signed and numbered and they sit on our property. They're couriered from my place. And then just a few weeks later, on May 22nd, I released the paperback and the ebook. So this was the second and the third version of Healing Beyond the Diagnosis. And I released this on Amazon. And I absolutely love the feedback that has been coming through. I would love for you to pop book in the chat. Just write book if you have got either of these versions, if you've read it, or maybe you still have it sitting there waiting for the right time for it to call you. So just pop book in the chat if you've read it. I love the feedback that's been coming through. Over 1,000 copies have sold between these three versions on Amazon. And something that really blew me away is that it became a #1 bestseller for a few days, alongside Gabby Bernstein's Self-Help and also Bessel van der Kolk's The Body Keeps the Score. And so the feedback that's been coming through is how it's been able to shift your perspective with health, but other areas of life as well. And you've finally been able to understand why you feel the way you do. I've been able to put the words there or articulate why you feel the way you do. And many of you are applying the work in the reflection questions at the end of each chapter, the growth work questions. And some of you are even trying the release process, because this is the first place that I put it out there publicly, the release process, what I created to help you process your emotions. Cool. So a few of you have got the book, a handful of you. Great. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for reading and also sharing it with friends. And I love that you still refer to it. I still refer to it a lot as well. As I said, it's still teaching me lessons. And your book is in the mail. Excellent. Okay. So this audiobook feels like the last piece to complete healing beyond the diagnosis. 2025, at the start of the year, I found out it was a #9 year, if you're into numerology. And the theme of 9 was completion, wisdom, and integration. And completion was the only word I could focus on in a fearful sort of way. I felt like I had just really created my foundation. Things were going to get off to really build and expand. And I thought, oh my gosh, have I done all of this for it to just complete? So I entered 2025 being really curious as to how completion was going to show up. And one of the pieces is the audiobook being the last piece to complete healing beyond the diagnosis. I don't know if that's actually true or not. I could definitely relate to wisdom and integration. So I started recording the audiobook on the 10th of November, and magically, it took 9 days of production, recording and editing. And on the 1st of December, because I had some time off in between, 1st of December, it was complete. And it just reminded me of writing the book, finishing the writing process, and then going, oh my gosh, the book isn't even out to the world. And I didn't know how to put an audiobook together to share it with the world. So the last 10 days has been pretty intense to get to this point, and it's been full of challenges. I thought Mercury was in retrograde. I never usually pay attention to it, but it's not. But I still had challenges, and I think it's all working. It's also my birthday week, 8th of December. I turned 41 earlier this week. Now, 41 could be one of those years that you don't really remember, but because of the emotion of it, this year of 41 is anchored in as completing healing beyond the diagnosis with this audiobook that I'm here to share with you. Thank you. So, pop a 1 in the chat if you're new to my world, because I have to remember that I've been on this journey. I've been immersed in it, and many of you I know have been on this journey well before this book even existed. But I'd love to know if you've just found me recently, if you are new, because I will share that my name is Jinong and what my work is about, who it's for, and the transformation that I really see is possible. And for those of you who have been with me for quite a while, I have learnt that it's worth a re-listen, because my work is always rooted in the same foundations and is constantly evolving, and I'm finding new ways to articulate it, like my spoken words, the book, the audiobook, and so on. Cool. I love that you've just ordered it. Thank you. All right. So my work, primarily how it started was I started really attracting people with chronic or complex health issues. They had been around the block and tried it all, conventional, alternative methods, energetics, and they had even worked on themselves on an emotional level or worked with other emotional therapies. But they came to me still feeling like something was missing. And I feel like I can now confidently provide what I see as the missing link, and that is being able to process your emotions. So I help people process their emotions, empty out their emotional cup, And I do that by teaching the release process. It's something that I created and it is taught in this book. It was the hardest part to write and share, but I can see from the feedback that people are getting it. People are able to utilize it and shift things in their life. So I help people process their emotions, empty out their emotional cup, and create space for more. And what's really unique about this process and the way I approach emotional work is that it allows you to decipher the message behind your experience, whether that experience is in pain or pleasure. And so you create space for your nervous system as well. And by creating space for your nervous system, you're able to expand your capacity to receive all that you desire to manifest in life and have the space to do the work that's actually required for manifestation. So this work that I share of processing your emotions is my sole purpose. I worked it out as I was going, and it really feels like a legacy piece. And I'm so proud of what has been put in Healing Beyond the Diagnosis and how I am able to call on it still and share it with people that I am actually working with. And it was this year in 2025 that I started sharing a little bit more about dancing in the world of pain and pleasure. And this book was the first piece that I put out there where I really started talking about the pleasure, the manifesting your desires beyond a life of what you thought possible. Okay, this book takes you through this transition. My background was as a clinical practitioner. I was an osteopath, an acupuncturist, a herbalist for 17 years. And over the last 5 years, I had been playing around with what do I call myself, different titles. And I also shared that I didn't want people to see me for my titles, my qualifications, my certifications. I wanted them to hear the wisdom and the stories that I had to share. And it was writing the bio section at the back of the paperback book down here that really changed a lot for me in terms of my identity. Because I realized and I asked myself the question of how do I want to be seen and remembered? If people only read the back of this book and read this book once, how are they going to see me now? And how do I want to be seen in the future? And I always teach that growth requires letting go and delegation. And so this was the point where I decided to let go of this title. I finished writing the book middle of March, and at the end of March, my osteo registration was due for renewal. So I let go of the title and I retired myself off the registration board. And I want you to know that I see this as an amazing part of my journey. All of my past I have learned to really love, and it has led me to opportunities. So it's not that it was so painful that I moved away from it, but it's actually that it opened up so many opportunities for me to say yes to in alignment with my values at that time. And how this relates to you is that I want to see past your condition, beyond your diagnosis. I want to see past what you do as a job, your role in life, and I want to hear your stories and who you are. This is what Healing Beyond the Diagnosis really is about. And in this book, there are 13 transformational stories. And there are people with various diagnoses, various pain, a variety of entry points. Okay. They're all different. The common thread is that all of them process their emotions and they approached pain from a very empowered space, which is what makes them easy to work with as people. And they have so many inspiring stories where they start to transition into the pleasure, the manifestation space, and all of these stories are still continuing to evolve. And the stories within this book aren't just about physical or health transformations. I take a holistic view. Now, as an osteopath, I thought I was holistic because I looked at the whole body. But holistic to me now is looking not only at your health, but your relationships, career, money, friendships, personal growth, and your spiritual pathway. And so I want to share Liv's story with you. If you follow me on my Instagram, The Art of Listening to Your Body, I shared her pain story and manifestation story recently. And I actually wanted to share the manifestation story, but I realized not all of you have been on the journey with Liv. And her story sits in chapter 16, Decipher the Message. Because when you apply the release process, what's unique about my emotional work is that you decipher, you get the message from your experience. So she entered my world with a severe disc injury in her lower back. She had all the neurological symptoms going down her leg, loss of sensation, weakness. And she was strongly suggested to have surgery, but she really wanted to avoid it. And what was remarkable is that we did a totally unrelated emotional release. It wasn't about her pain, it wasn't about her situation. We just followed the thread and did an emotional release using the process. And in that first session, all of her pain disappeared. And now it would come and go, but what was undeniable was a link between her physical state and her emotional state. Every time she released, her pain would completely disappear. Now, the thing is that it wasn't stable. It would flare up. And so we worked with this pattern, and she wasn't able to do some of the things that she loved, like golf, skiing, and surfing. And so now she had more space to actually embrace and prepare for surgery mentally and emotionally. And I am a huge advocate for creating a solid emotional foundation for yourself to handle interventions, to handle any challenge that might show up in any area of your life. So this was really about setting herself up for the intervention, the surgery, and optimizing so that she could have the best recovery possible. And she did. Within a few months, she was back playing golf, skiing, and she even went on an overseas surf trip, which was huge considering how significant her disc injury was. In my osteo days, I probably would have expected someone to take about a year. And now I hold no expectations on people, just possibility. Now, the message that came through from her release processing was that she needed to work on her communication and leadership. And this really showed up in her family relationships, but also her business. She owned a medium-sized business. She had quite a few staff, and it had grown very quickly. And the opportunity that this injury created was that she could no longer work in the business as a practitioner. She had to start working on it more. Now, she was working in it and on it, but not enough on it. And so the space was created for her to work on it. And what was amazing is that she ended up creating the highest business revenue that business had created in a month. And she continued to celebrate milestones like that. She also created space for a passion project, a business idea that she had no idea how that was actually going to fit in. And when I reflected with her what the best part was of going on this journey, she says it was meeting her ideal partner. So the facet of relationships. And recently, what she celebrated with me in the last month is that her and her partner bought a home together. And so this is a home that creates more space for her business and her life to expand into. And in her new business that's run from this home, she also celebrated her biggest revenue week. Now, this was a month ago, and I'm pretty sure with the messages that I've just recently exchanged with her, because I messaged her yesterday saying, can I please share your story and the manifestation? She said yes. I'm sure she's probably created even bigger revenue weeks since. So these are the stories of other people that I want to share as well, not just my own wisdom and stories, but theirs. And I really loved giving them a voice and reading them out loud when I was recording this audiobook. I just felt connected to you all once again and curious as to where you're all at, because I know this journey keeps on evolving. And it was through this experience of recording this book that I realized the power of repetition, that the same content lands differently depending on where you're at on your journey. And so I've become more at peace presenting to people who keep showing up to all of my things because I know that you're receiving the messages in a different way. I'm constantly pulling from chapters and sections and sharing them with clients to serve as a reminder. And these written words that were actually quite hard work for me initially are landing for them differently in their body. So this whole process of the book, taking all of my speaking, I'm very much an in the moment speaker whenever the energy's right. The biggest challenge was translating it from spoken words into writing it for a book format to be read, and then actually reading it. There were so many changes. There's so much I could add, and there's so much that I took out as well. And I was worried that I would want to do huge edits to it, but I haven't wanted to. And then the next piece was speaking what was written in the book to record the audiobook and then actually listening over. And so through this whole evolution of healing beyond the diagnosis, I really feel like this book holds some magic. I am having so many realizations, so much awareness of patterns and cycles that are showing up through the same content. And going through this journey has shown me how everything is connected. I keep having this deja vu feeling that I've been here before, and this time everything's going to be okay. Everything is okay. So, one of the interesting patterns that showed up is that my intention and mission for 2025 was to share a message. And I had no idea that it was going to be through a book. So even though I had published it, I was still questioning in September of this year whether or not I had actually accomplished that mission. And it's like, oh yeah, it's through the book. That's not what I thought. And so the pattern was that last year in 2024, I was ready to talk more about emotions and cancer. Now, cancer is not the only condition that I work with. I work with any chronic or complex health concern that someone has. Okay. But for whatever reason, I don't know why, people were attracted to work with me, people who had had cancer. And I was too scared to talk about this. And then I made the decision, okay, I'm going to go all in. I'm going to talk more about emotions and cancer. And I attracted an opportunity to speak. Now, this lady every single year had contacted me asking me to speak at one of her events. And I finally said yes this year, or last year. I finally said yes. And I said, I'd love to speak about emotions and cancer. I was so passionate about it. And what was interesting is that there were other people involved in organising this event. And they came back and said, this topic is too polemic. Now, I had to Google this. I did not know what polemic meant. I had to use Google when I was recording the audiobook because I didn't know how to pronounce some of like the common words. I was questioning it as I actually said it. So I had to look up polemic, which means something along the lines of this is too controversial. And they asked me to talk about something more generalized. And I just thought, I just cannot put the fluff on it. I cannot sugarcoat it. I can't speak about superficial stuff. I love depth. And the easiest thing for me is to speak the truth. That's when things flow for me. So I ended up declining the offer. And I said, you know, part of the issue that I work with in today's society is that people are too scared to share and embody. I shared with her, I said, look, I would really love to share about this on social media. This is not about you. And what's interesting is about a month ago, I actually met her in person and it was a real moment of closure for both of us because I really wanted to let her know this is not about you. It's just been an interesting pivot point in my journey. And she was really grateful for that. So now I set the topic and you choose to be here and you can leave the room if you want to. Okay, I'm just going to talk about what I want to. At that time last year, I also lost my advertising account. I was ready to go big and I couldn't access it. I ended up having to create a new one. And so recently, I'm like, yes, okay, I realize that this book is the way I'm sharing my message. I'm going to put the audiobook out there big and wide. And my payment processor that I use to take payments for my business flagged my website and my business saying that I was violating something. I didn't know what it was. And I submitted all my documentation. It still didn't get through. And I had thousands of dollars just sitting there that they weren't paying. And I thought, oh my gosh, like I'm trying to navigate all this other tech, putting the audiobook out there, and this is happening. I'm still going to share the audiobook, even if I don't get paid for it. And so it turned out, I said, can you please let me know what's wrong? I don't know what's wrong with my business or my website and how I'm violating things. And they flagged a few things, and it was the stories around cancer. It was the conditions that I've worked with and the results that came as testimonials from people. And so unfortunately, I've had to go in and delete some of these. I had to dilute some of the results and the messages around certain conditions or just take them away completely to the point where they're so super vague. And I still don't even share a lot of the testimonials that come my way because they're so deeply personal. And sometimes I'm not too sure if people would truly understand them unless they've been on the whole journey. So that's where I'm at. I was able to get it set up again and I am able to receive payments, which is really great. But I also teach that when you make steps in alignment, when you expand your capacity, it is normal for these challenges to hit and you just got to navigate them. And there is a poem at the end of the book that exits the book saying, healing is a state of being. You are one, you are whole, and peace with whatever the outcome. So I'm emailing the payment processor person saying, by the way, I'm really explicit that I share with people my perspective of healing is not that you're going to be cured, that you're going to be in remission, that your disease state is going to disappear. And I know that it's possible. And I've got stories of that. But I also work with people who coexist with certain conditions. And so I say now that if you're expecting that an outcome is going to be that you're going to be free of disease, that you're going to be cured, that you're going to go into remission, that this is an expectation versus a possibility. If you have this expectation, then you're not ready for my work. But if you listen to Healing Beyond the Diagnosis, you might be able to change that perspective. You might be able to open yourself up to the possibility that this could be for you. So this 9-year of completion, integration, and wisdom, I'm sitting here going, 2025 isn't even over yet. There's still a few weeks left. Anything could happen. This audiobook is what completes Healing Beyond the Diagnosis, based on what I know. It's another way to experience healing beyond the diagnosis and allow it to be felt in your body. So it took 10 days to record. It took a period of 3 weeks. Okay, so I did about 7 days and then I had a week off, which I found really frustrating as someone who just wants to start and complete things. But of course, in that space, the most creative ideas landed. And it's also where I realized I don't know how to put an audiobook out there. But in that space, I thought, yes, this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to release it privately. And I love to give more. And if I put it on these public platforms like Audible and Spotify, which I might do down the track, I haven't landed on this 100% yet. I can't do that. I want to give you more so that you can deepen your experience, that you can be privy to these new realizations that are coming to me as I record these different and document these different versions of healing beyond the diagnosis. So here's insight to one of the extras that you get. So during the paperback launch, my husband Gavin asked me about one of the quotes in the book, and there was a whole story for me to share. And so there are 19 chapters in this book, and every chapter has got a quote that has come from me. It's like 2, 3, maybe 4 lines. Every chapter has a quote preceding it, and each of them have an origin story. And so I'm going to share about one of them with you today. Many of you who have been on this journey with me for a while know that I've manifested incredible things in my life. And everything that has led to that is rooted in healing beyond the diagnosis. It's where I've started. It's where all of these stories that I get to share started, with processing emotions, the work that most people avoid. Okay. So there is a quote before chapter 18, expand your capacity. Chapter 18 and 19 make up the very last portion of the book, and it really transitions into that pleasure space of capacity, power, that foundation for creating more and manifesting the life that you desire. And the quote is, access your past to access your future. Okay, so this can be a little bit of a mind bender. You might need to go back and listen to this recording. It will be available. Access your past to access your future. And this is why I shared it before expand your capacity, is that when you get into manifestation practice, and a lot of people want to jump to it, they want to bypass the emotional work. When you get to manifestation practice, you're asked to think, write, and share. What are you asked to think, write, and share about? How you look, how you move, how you speak, how you see, hear, and feel. Maybe even what meals you're eating. What do you smell? What do you taste? Okay. And then they'll say, now embody that future version of yourself. And as you embody that future version of yourself, tap into the emotions and feelings that that future version of you has. You're being asked to envision something that you've got no evidence for, or it's been a very long time since you've experienced something like this that you want to bring back into your life. And so this is where manifestation plateaus, when you're asked to embody the emotions and the feelings of something that you don't have evidence for yet. So this is why I take people back into their past to be able to access their future, because you have evidence for the experiences in your past. You know that you had these experiences and events in your life where emotions were suppressed, where they were unexpressed or unprocessed, and you simply didn't have the space or you didn't know how to process them. And so when you learn the release process, and there are many variations of it, when you learn the release process, you can go back to your past and access it and access these feelings and allow them to be expressed, allow them to be processed, and actually feel safe in them. And that is where you then can start to access feelings of things that you don't have evidence for because you feel safe in them. Because success energy, I will argue, is actually bigger energy than any of the challenges that you have held. Okay, so I hope that one lands. Access your past to access your future. Okay, that's the story behind it. Each of them are very unique origin stories, and I've recorded a whole extra part to take you deeper into the book. Okay, each of these quotes are intentionally placed. And I'm very big on not forever processing your emotions. Okay, healing beyond the diagnosis is the doorway. It's a big, fat, heavy door to push open if you're willing to move through it. But it's a beautiful doorway that can send you down the path of pleasure and manifestation. Okay, so there is also 2 quotes in the audiobook that I decided to change. All right, I'll let you find them if you decide to get both versions. Both of them are still really powerful, but I just decided to change 2 quotes in there. Okay. So that's what you'll get access to, is a little bit extra behind the scenes to deepen your experience of the book. And I've also got grounding exercises, grounding techniques that I share their purpose in the book. It's in a part about creating emotional safety or creating safety in your system. And I'm about to share the link for you to get this book, but I want to take you through this grounding live and in the moment. Because as I said, if you're invited into my world, whether it's free or paid, I want you to have the ability to make a grounded decision that feels good to you. Okay. So I'll take you through one of the 3 that are shared in the book. It's called the 3x3 technique. And I'm going to get you to tune into 3 senses, and I'm going to guide you through this. It will only take you a few minutes. And this isn't just about getting you into a grounded place before you might say yes to the audiobook. You never know what magic is going to happen because you connect back in with your body today and what will unfold for the remainder of the day. Okay, so what I'll get you to do is just close your eyes down if you're able to. If not, just take part in what you can. So just gently close your eyes down. And the first sense I'm going to get you to tune into that I'll guide you through is your sense of hearing. And I want you to notice what sound it is that you hear coming through your device, which is probably the sound of my voice. I just want you to take a moment to very consciously, mentally note what it is that you hear. And you can say it out loud or just say it in your mind. And now notice what sound you can hear within the room that you were in. Just extend out. What sound can you hear in the room that you're in? Intentionally, mentally, consciously note this. It can also be the sound of nothing. And now expand your sense of hearing to the walls beyond the room that you're in, or maybe outside. Consciously, mentally note a sound that you can hear beyond the walls. Now tune into your sense of feeling or what is touching you. So for this one, I want you to notice what it is that you're supported by. Can you feel what it feels like against your body to be supported by the ground under your feet or the seat or the bed that you're on? Notice the feeling and the sensation of what you're supported by right now. Just take a short moment to notice this. And now notice something a little bit more subtle. like the clothing on your body and how that feels, maybe the hair on the back of your neck, glasses or headphones. Notice this feeling, this sensation of what's touching your body. And if you feel okay to move into this one, is just notice how you feel on an emotional level. What sensation is there? And you might be able to mentally, consciously note what this sensation is, but it also doesn't matter because the most important part of this work is that you just notice feeling, notice sensation. And if you can't tap into an emotional feeling state, just pop your hand somewhere on your body and notice the weight and the warmth of that sensation. And in a moment, when I ask you to open your eyes, when you open your eyes, I want you to very consciously, mentally note 3 things in the room or outside that you can see. So when you're ready, just open your eyes and take 3 things in the room around you. Okay. So this is a chapter in the book, and I also have them guided like this. This was live in the moment though, and you'll get access to these guided recordings at the end of the audiobook as a bonus. So I'm going to show you a screen just briefly so that you can anchor in and just stay present with the work in another way and share about how you can get this audiobook. The audiobook, private release, this is available direct through me. And I'm so excited that you're here for the launch party. Your body is speaking. Are you ready to listen? Now, remember, your body is not just your physical body, it is your external body and environment around you as well. And so 2025, this became a #1 bestseller. And it's for those of you who have tried everything and still feel like something's unresolved. Okay, I truly feel like this book is an amazing doorway into emotional work that has the possibility to change everything. Horses have been a big part of this journey. This is the dad of the foals. This is the paperback that you'll still be able to get as well, and the ebook. So I've got launch specials for you. You're going to be the first founders to access this. You're going to get access to bonuses, which I'll take you through, and behind the scenes that I've given you a glimpse into. So the audiobook comes in the form of a private feed. You'll get a URL, a link that you can put into your web browser. You just click on it, you can put it on your phone, and it plays like a podcast or an audiobook. So there's chapters as well. There is a bonus track. So if I ever release this to the public like Audible or Spotify, this bonus track is not going to be on it. It's just what I decided to record as an extra in the moment, and it's at the end of the book. So only people that buy it directly from me will get access to this. You also get the behind the scenes. So I've recorded a few extra videos about the patterns, the cycles that we're landing, the insights, my whole process and experience of recording the audiobook. And you also got a glimpse about the chapters and how they're preceded by a quote. It's experiences that allow you to take the book deeper. At the end of every chapter, there are growth work reflection questions, and there is a printable PDF or a PDF fillable growth work journal that allows you to document this journey of embodying healing beyond the diagnosis. As I said, there's grounding audios. There's 3 grounding audios. And instead of having to navigate away, they are at the end of the audiobook. So you can just turn them on whenever you like. If you need help sleeping, you can also tune into these grounding audios. This is just a screenshot of what it looks like. So you'll be able to scroll through and you can just see the chapters that you can navigate through here. You'll get the story behind the chapter quotes to deepen your experience. And I've also recorded something called the Cycle of 7 that is infused into this book that I've really only been able to anchor in all this time later. Okay, so part of the launch specials that I put out there, and especially for Healing Beyond the Diagnosis, you get all of these exclusive offers. Before, maybe whenever down the track, I might be putting it out on more public platforms, but those people will not get access to the behind the scenes. Okay, so the link is down the bottom here. I'll pop it in the chat. It's drjinong.com/HBD-audio. You might want to take a screenshot of this. But if you click on that link, it will redirect you to a page where you can purchase the audiobook. So this is the link, take a screenshot, drjinong.com/HBD-audio. Okay, and you can go ahead, just pop your details in, you'll get instant access to it. So this is the page that you should get taken to, and you can click on any of these buttons. You can have a look-see through here if you want to. It's everything that I covered today, and it will take you down to the checkout area, and you just fill out your details. When you fill it out, it will take you to a thank you page where you can click on the link and the URL will go on your phone or your desktop. You will also get access to an email. Okay. This is what the behind the scenes looks like. So I've put all the launch parties here because all of them have their different energy, even though it's the same book and content. You access the audiobook, and these are the few extras that I have recorded for you. You'll see that you can get your growth work journal and print it out or get the PDF. And there are some extra resources that allow you to deepen certain chapters of the book, and you'll be alerted as to when you can go and explore that resource. The grounding audios are also here, but they are at the end of the audiobook as well. You will have lifetime access to the audiobook and the course platform, everything, okay? The other thing that I wanted to mention is that, yes, you can just purchase the audiobook, but one of the benefits of me being able to do this is I always want to give you more, that there are going to be options for you to explore other little offers. And there are offers that I have never sold anywhere else. They are only available to clients that I already work with. And that's why I wanted to take you through the grounding technique to make sure you make a grounded decision with whatever you choose to do. So you will only see it in the purchase flow for the book, these other opportunities. I will say that if you're already working with me in ongoing coaching, you do not need to purchase these. I know some of you get excited and you buy the thing that you've already got access to. You've already got access to them. So I'd love for you to go click that link, have a feel into it. You're more than welcome to share this link with friends as well. But I'm just privately releasing this to you guys, the ones that are interested. And if you're open to the exclusive offers, then go for it as well. I'd love for you to come into my world and just see if this work is your next step. So even if you have read the book, the paperback, the luxe edition, whatever version you've got, the ebook, I really do feel that the audiobook is going to offer you another experience. So if what I have shared with you is of value, I really wanted to do these launch parties to share the energy and just anchor in the celebration for myself. If it resonates with you, if you're feeling drawn to this work and it's going to be your first entry point, I feel like all versions of Healing Beyond the Diagnosis are powerful, but the audiobook today is going to be a great taster. And I know that some of you have been asking for it because you're not the sit-down type of person to read a book. It's just another way to digest this information. So thank you everyone for joining me today. So the link is in the chat. Have a look-see. Hopefully it all works because Mercury felt like it was in retrograde even though it wasn't. And Mercury retrograde affects technical stuff. But I trusted that it was all just going to come together at the 11th hour. All right, so thank you for joining me. And I would also love to hear when you listen to the audiobook or if you've read the other versions, please get in touch with me and let me know how it lands for you. I've got to get better at actually sharing beyond the 3 to 5 that have been sitting there for a long time. And yeah, my mission is to simply share a message. And 2025, the year of completion, integration, and wisdom, isn't even over yet. We're entering a 1 year of transformation. I've talked a bit about this in the behind the scenes as well. This has been an incredible journey. I'm so glad that I get to go back and ride my horses. The last 10 days, I haven't done much, but what's also interesting is the tow vehicle that I usually tow the horse float with is not able to tow. So maybe it all happened for a reason so that I could really put this out there to the world before 2025 was over. Anyone else? Oh, where do I live in New Zealand? Yeah, I didn't tell you that that I'm coming live to you from New Zealand. So I live in Queensbury. Not many people even around this area know of Queensbury, but you might be more familiar with Wanaka or Queenstown. So live about an hour away from Queenstown and 20 minutes from Wanaka. Wanaka is where, yeah, I've lived for quite a while. I'm actually originally from Melbourne, from Australia. So my dad, who's here, he's still in Melbourne in the house that I grew up in. So I am the South Island, yes. And it's a beautiful sunny day.
I typed in the chat if you could share what the 3 pivotal years is about, please. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, sure. Okay. So the 3 pivotal years, I called it Mother, Moth, and Self. And so for the clients that are working with me already, this is my personal and private timeline. So I'm really big on documenting milestones. And I had this realization a few years ago, which is when I started creating it. I had a realization a few years ago that pretty much every year from 2011 onwards, after my health crisis, I've had big moves in my life. And some of these big moves are playing out later on. And so there at the moment, the two videos on there are 30-minute videos, and they're just raw, unfiltered videos of what happened in that year and what is the big move that I made. So this is a pattern that revealed itself, a cycle that revealed itself just 2 weeks ago, that I have this 5-year cycle, 2015, 2020. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, this is 2025. This is like another piece of the cycle. What's going to happen next? So 2015, 2014, I just had my daughter. So 2015 was the year of being a mother. And I say that in this transition, I feel that there are so many opportunities in this transition to motherhood. So it's also the year that I made my biggest investment. Gav and I made our biggest investment in personal development, which was the sum of 50,000 Australian dollars. So you get to hear about that. It's definitely paid off, but it took a little while. Um, Paid off in terms of like, return on personal self. And then in 2020, I called it the moth year. So there is a death moth embossed on here, and there's also a death moth on here. Um, the moth is this really unique logo that I choose things because I like them, and then the story evolves. And so the death moth for me is I just liked it. And then I realized, oh, moths seek out the light. And really, this work of pain to pleasure is also taking people from the dark to the light. My husband also wrote a book. His is more like a photographic book and journey of climbing mountains. And he called it Seeking the Light. Then a client recommended a pendant to me that had a moth on it. And in Latin, it said Seeking the Light. So again, I just chose this thing and the story's still evolving. And I see that moths, like butterflies, have this transition, this transformation, right? And so 2020 was when I started this business, The Art of Listening to Your Body. It's when I started really talking about this on a higher and deeper level. So my clinic, I was an osteopath and I had a clinic and I had a team. I had bricks and mortar businesses, 2 clinics, and it shut down in 2020. And I had tens of thousands of dollars going out the door and no money coming in. Very, very little money. It didn't cover the expenses. And so that was actually a moment of fear that I was driven to go into the online space. So I share the behind the scenes of that and investments that I made during that time when tens of thousands of dollars were going out the door. And it's so cool to see where I am, I'm in the 6th year, right? 6 years later. And so I haven't recorded 2025 yet because it's not over and anything can happen in the next 3 weeks. So I'm going to record this in 2026 and I'll send you out an email to let you know that it's been added to the platform. I'm sitting here going, oh my gosh, if everything that happened after 2015 and after 2020 is a repeated cycle, what is 2026 going to look like? Okay, I've given some insights into the course platform that you'll get with the audiobook about this whole 9 year of the snake entering the 1 year, the year of the horse. Like I even just have something really weird that landed on my birthday in 2020 that has started in motion 5 years in another way. Okay. It's around a car. It's really interesting. So I'll be recording 2025 in early 2026. Okay, so that's what the little offer that's $9 at the moment. It'll only go up a few dollars. That's especially if you love the behind the scenes, if you love the personal and transparent journeys. That's me. And I don't filter any of my stuff. They're not even edited, but there's not mistakes in it, don't worry. They're just truths from my heart and my personal experience because I found that a lot of people have gotten a lot from me being transparent about my journey. And I think it's really easy to look at the end result of the client stories that are shared and look at my results of where I am right now. And what I value most is walking the journey um, to the result. So the story behind the story. And there are so many stories behind the story of this book, as you can tell. So that is what 3 Pivotal Years is about. It's a very private timeline. And so it feels very vulnerable to put it out there. And again, I can play around with this, I can take it away. We'll see how it goes. But it's just something a little bit extra if you want to dive into more the behind the scenes, because those years are referenced lightly in the book, but it wasn't appropriate to go, like I could have written a whole book about those years. Purchase the audiobook, Kaz. Thank you. Jane, you've manifested a carpet python to hang out at your place. Totally thrilled. Well, the year of the snake, right? Terry Moana, have you been interviewed on any platforms yet that I can look for and listen to? Yeah, I have. And I've got to update this, but I've been on quite a few podcasts. I do have on the Dr. Jin Ong page. Thanks, Jonah. I do have on the Dr. Jin Ong page a news and media section, and a lot of the podcasts in the past are there. But there's about 4 or 5 that I still need to put on there. I'm not very good at updating things unless I'm forced to by things like my payment processor. I prefer to share in the moment. Okay. Um, and I see Manda here. So Manda she's popped up in a few of these launch parties. Manda was actually part of that 2015 when I was a mother and went to this retreat. That's where I met her all these years ago and made that big investment. So she is a blast from the past. You've come to the last 2 launch parties. So it's a true story, isn't it, Manda?
It is, Jane, and I just love what you're doing. I've loved your growth. I'm here in the kitchen baking cookies. That's why I've had my camera off, so you're not looking at the ceiling. But yeah, once I've hopped off this, I'll be buying the book. Thank you for doing the book. I am that person that doesn't read.
You're a
I have
busy
the book,
mom.
but yeah, so beautiful. Thank you.
I love it. Thank you so much. And there were some people that said, due to my condition, my state, I can't hold the book because of, pain in my hands or I can't concentrate that much. And they said, are you going to release an audiobook? And I said, well, maybe. I don't know, but follow my social media and you'll know, and it'll be done quick if I announce it. So I am really pleased to release it in 2025, and there's just so much significance behind it for me. And I'm just so excited as to how this is going to unfold. Uh, Anything else that you would like to ask? Are you feeling good? Feeling ready to start your day or end your day? Thank you so much. There's so many times that I thought this is not a good time to do a launch party. I don't know what it's like for you guys in the Northern Hemisphere, but typically October, November, December, especially December, can be this crazy time for people where they just feel overwhelmed. And so I really wanted to invite you to this or the replay to just ground yourself in this moment. My parents-in-law are arriving tomorrow for 3 weeks. And yeah, I'm just so excited that you joined me live. Thank you so much. I'll send this out to all the other people that registered and would love your support in spreading this word, especially with the restrictions that keep on popping up for me on social media and so on. So thank you so much for everyone who's purchasing. Let me just pop it in here one last time if you're just like, I wasn't going to, but actually maybe now I will. Thank you so much for your beautiful messages. And yeah, please reach out to me when you have a listen. Even throughout listening, people have been reading the book and sharing with me what's landing for them. I really love hearing it. And I'd also love if you can give me permission to share it as well, because I do feel uncomfortable sometimes when you guys are sharing personal stuff with me. I'm usually quite conscious of what I do share. Thank you, everyone. This has been really special, a great way to anchor in my 41st birthday week and just healing beyond the diagnosis in general. All right, have an amazing day and the rest of 2025, and good luck with your 1 year in 2026.